Doesn't it seem odd to you that with the approach of asteroid 2012 DA14, all eyes in NASA and other space agencies around the world were focused on the skies? Yet, all of the near-Earth object tracking centers on the planet completely missed the meteor that exploded over the sky in the Urals in Russia. With all the sophisticated technology and satellite tracking equipment in place, none of them, including amateur astronomers, spotted this object. I want to point out some anomalies that were picked up on video and still photos of this event. First, we know that the meteor exploded in the atmosphere, but what caused it to explode? Take a look at this clip.
Footage that shows us that indeed something pierces through the side of this object and out the other side, and then it proceeds to explode. You can see it in all the different frames. You can see it enter and go out the other side, coming from a total different direction. You can see it enter and exit.
Now, a lot of people are saying that this was a UFO that supposedly blasted the meteor out of the sky. I have a couple of problems with that, being that object, the meteor itself, was reported to be 12 to 15 miles in the sky, and the meteor itself was reported to be about 50 to 55 feet long. This was either a very, very tiny UFO or something else. And whatever this object was, considering that the meteor was traveling at around 40,000 miles per hour, the object that came up from behind it and appears to have shot something or ejected something into the meteor, causing it to explode, must have been traveling much, much faster. Now here we see a picture of it again coming into the atmosphere and exploding, and according to some reports, this meteor was only in the atmosphere for 32.5 seconds. Okay. Now I want to show you this next clip. The meteor had just blown up in the air. Now watch this. Okay, if we watch this clip again, at 2 minutes and 18 seconds is right around the time the meteor had exploded. And at 2 minutes 48 seconds, or 30 seconds later, you hear the boom. Let me see if I can get it on here. Here it comes. There it is. Okay. The thing is, all the experts are reporting that the meteor was in the atmosphere at 12 to 15 miles, about 15 miles up into the atmosphere. Now, sound travels at about 1130 feet per second, which means that if that meteor exploded at the altitude they're telling us the meteor was in the atmosphere, the altitude of the meteor was in the atmosphere when it blew up, 12 to 15 miles, it would have taken 1 minute to 1 minute and 15 seconds for the sound wave to have reached the ground where the people were recording this. However, you can clearly see in the video that from the approximate time of explosion to the sound wave hitting the videographer was 30 seconds. Now that either means that the meteor was much lower in the atmosphere than the experts were reporting it, or something else caused the explosion. And here's the explosion caught by another video angle. Let's look at this one.
Я сейчас подойду, подожди. Ебать!
Okay, I've got two questions here. What was causing the succession of booms? Bang, 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 right after the initial boom? And I want you to look at these windows here. See how some of them are broken out and others remain fully intact. Same here. It looks like the window frame was actually pushed in, and there's these circular holes in the windows here, yet panes of glass right next to them are left completely intact. And this chart, which I hope may explain a little, I pulled off of a transitsafety.gov, dot.gov site, and it shows the force duration of a pressure wave near an explosion. This is very close to an explosion. As you'll see, it has a pointed impact point regarding the magnitude of the blast. And as you get further away from the source of the energy release, you see that wave flattens out and therefore covers a much greater area, so to speak, of a equalized force pressure hitting a surface. See, this one is farther from an explosion. As the time spreads out, okay, the wave spreads out as well, hitting the surfaces with a more a broader but yet more equal force. And this is an image of a building outside of Hiroshima, and you can see the damage that it incurred as a result of the concussion blast from the bomb, the bomb at Hiroshima. As you can see, all the doors and windows on this building, all of them, not some of them, all of them are blown out from the concussion blast. And this image here was one I found of a moving and storage building, a warehouse, that was several blocks away from a gas explosion, again a concussion blast. And as you can see, it took out all of the glass and all of the doors in the side of the building that took the brunt of the blast, or facing the blast. And as you can see, both of those images look very different from the image that you see here. Now I want to compare that image that you just saw to some of the images of the photos excuse me, from Dr. Judy Wood's analysis on where did the towers go. As she purports in her dissertation that the World Trade Center disaster was caused by a directed energy weapon. And I've read a lot of her stuff, heard a lot of her lectures, and I have to tell you, there's a lot of credibility in what she says. Now, I want to show you some of the glass damage picked up from her site, some of the images here. Now, doesn't this look a little bit, or at least remind you of, where is it? Of this? Or how about, let's see, this, where you have panes of glass that have been shattered out, or that have, let's see, that have, looks like holes punched in the pane, but the entire pane isn't out. And then other panes just next to it, adjacent to it, and above it that are completely undamaged. These are some of the effects of directed energy, or what some people like to call the Hutchinson effect. And here's another picture of another building at the World Trade Center, where you see broken panes of glass, and then right next to them, right above them or right below them, the glass is untouched at all. And I want to bring your attention specifically right up here in this area. Now I want you to look at that, and now I want to show you this. And here's some more of the glass breakage anomalies, but this isn't exactly what I wanted to show you. And then right coming up here, right here. Does that look like a concussion blast? Look at this. Look at this scooped out piece of wall, of solid building wall. And now go back to the 9/11 photos from Dr. Judy Wood with the directed energy weapon theory. I want you to look at this right here. Does that not look similar, kind of, to this? I don't know. Just asking. Some things just don't seem to be adding up. And again, going by the facts that are being reported to us, that this meteor was only about 55 feet in length, and we have the dimensions of a 747 being 225 feet in length. So this meteor was actually less than 1/4 of the length of a Boeing 747. And we're being told that, where is it here, that the meteor exploded some 12 to 15 miles up in the atmosphere. And again, let's go over here. We have the average cruising altitude of a 747 is about 33,000 to 35,000 feet, or about 6.25 miles, or about 1/2 to 1/3 the distance of the meteor's altitude. Would we really have seen this, or this, or this? I mean, it just seems odd to me that something only 55 feet in length at an altitude of about 2 to 3 times the cruising altitude of a 747 would have seemed this large in the sky. And if the data being reported in the video clips I've put in the comments section below are correct, in that there were about 30 seconds from the time of the flash or the explosion of the meteor until we heard the boom, that would mean that the meteor was only about 6 miles above the Earth when it exploded. And if you can believe the experts, they're saying that it exploded with about 30 times the energy force of the blasted Hiroshima. Now, again, this is a photo of a building, a factory, or some type of large office building that was several miles outside of the city of Fukushima when the blast hit. My question is, does this damage look anything like this damage? Or this damage? Or this damage? Or does it look more like this damage? Here. Or this damage that was caused at the World Trade Center on 9/11 that Judy Wood is attributing to a directed energy or low energy nuclear reaction process. In conclusion, I still think there are some unanswered questions. One, why no one picked up this object in the skies when all of the technology and equipment in satellites and on the Earth were looking at the sky during this time. Two, the reported altitude of the meteor on explosion was 15 miles above the Earth, but this does not jive with the speed of sound captured on the videos. 3. What actually exploded the meteor? And 4. The relative damage caused by the explosion, which was reported to be about 30 times that of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, looks more like the anomalous damage pointed out by Dr. Judy Wood with respect to directed energy weapons. I look forward to your comments. Please place them in the comments section below. I've placed some research links also in the comments section. And before I finish this video, I would just like to leave you with this.
I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, "Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space." And I said, teachers don't stop until June. He said, "No, you have to understand, this is February, and we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies," he said, "against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system, the first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids." And then he would repeat to me over and over, "And the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat." Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear on the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapon system, and they're all lies. This is a system, he told me, that would never protect anyone. Even back then, he talked about suitcase bombs. He talked about chemical, viral, bacterial, biological warfare, that these space-based weapons would never protect us against. And then he told me that, in fact, if you travel around the world, which I did after he died in 1977, I met with people in over 100 countries who were friends. They didn't want to build space-based weapons. I became a space and missile defense consultant. And I worked with people around the world. I became an advisor to the People's Republic of China. They don't want to build a space-based weapon system. And he told me back then that they didn't. He said, "Go to Russia. They're considered to be the enemy." I got on a plane by myself. When I got to Russia, I had a list of people that I had read out of the newspaper. Chernenko was in office then. He was the only one I didn't get a chance to meet. They introduced me to everyone when I got there. And when I got back, I said, "Oh my Lord, this man is telling the truth. There is no threat." And I've been waiting until this day for 27 years, and I'm expecting the spin to happen, because he also explained to me that as a military strategist, as a person who worked on the MX missile, which I did later, he said, "You will find that there is going to be a spin to find some enemy against whom we have to build space-based weapons. And now we should expect the spin, because he said part of the formula for the intelligence community is if they might have a weapon, then we have to consider that they do have these weapons. So now they do have these weapons, so now we have to build these weapon systems. And that's the formula.
Thank you for watching.
Except that it's
and
all
please
based
share
on a
this
lie.
video.
And we have witnessed